Yo, it's your boy Codehova, Fly Combinator, So we're continuing on unwrapping this iOS syllabus from a code boot camp that you're going to pay like $15,000 for, right? We're moving on, and the next topic is control events. Let's just highlight that bitch because we know we about to rock it. So let's just Google so we could get some practice on using documentation. So we Google it, and we see that there's something called UI control.event. And what a UI control.event is, they're constants describing the types of events possible for controls. And when it says controls, we're talking about UI views that can have interaction with the user. And the overview says you set up a control so that it sends an action message to a target object by associating both target and action with one or more control events. To do this, you send add target, which is going to take a parameter of a target, an action, and 4. You don't need to worry about exactly what that means just yet. To the control for each target action pair you want to specify. So these control events, they have initializers, but what you need to know is that we're having something like touchdown. That's when the user just presses on a button. There's touchdown repeat, where the user could repeatedly touch on the screen. Touch drag inside, they're holding on the screen, they're moving left and right. There's all these different types of interactions that a user can do with your event. With your view, aka your control. But really, all you need to know, man, is this main one is the one you're going to use 90% of the time, okay? So we have this old project. Let's just shut it down. And just for practice sake, I don't even know what number we're at, but we're at file 0107. Okay. So what we do is we just create a new project, single view app, 0107, and this one's going to be called control events. Okay. We're going to keep moving. Create it in the same folder that the iOS Hustla project is in. And it's the same old. So let me just make that pretty on my screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to run it on the iPhone 8. You could run it on whatever iPhone you want, because that's just the one that I got running on my computer. So I'm going to just let it run. And let's just do something while this is running. So on the storyboard, right, we're going to want to create a button. Okay. So we're going to send this button, place it right here in the middle. But then we're going to update this title of the button. Okay. Title. It says button, and it shows button on the view. We're just going to say, show me an alert. Show me an alert. Okay. So now it configures nicely to fit all of the text of the title into that button. So let's do a constraints of making it show up in the middle. Okay. So just to show you that this is how we build views, and this view right now, this view controller, it's tied with this view controller file, view controller. So it's tied with this view controller file. Okay. And it's going to just say, show me an alert. Or let's continue on working with what we learned in previous videos. So let's just say this is going to say placeholder. Okay. But if we look at our simulator, it says, show me an alert. And the button is interactable. So basically, when we click on it, it's simulating a touch that we would do on a device. And the event that we're mostly going to be using is touch up event. Okay. But anyways, let's just start from square one, what we have learned in the previous videos. If we want to get a hold of this button, what we need to do is we need to create a outlet, okay, for this UI view, aka UI view, which is a subclass button, UI button. So let's open up this assistant editor, and there's many ways you could do it. You could you press control, you hold down control, and you could drag it in. You could hold down, you could select this, and you could hold control and select it in there. Or, you're going to do this so often, that you're just going to want to say IB outlet, weak var, centered button. That's the name we want to give it, and it's going to be a type of UI button. Okay, so that's what we have. But you see here that the circle is empty, and that's because we have declared this variable of this UI button, but it's not connected to anything on the view yet. It's like if we selected it from the view and created the outlet in the code in this fashion, centered, well, that's a NS layout constraint. See, that would be a wrong, we're making an outlet for this constraint. I'm not sure if it's the center X or center Y, but I selected the wrong control, okay? Wrong view. So I must have hovered from one of these lines. And what I want to do is get it from the button. So doing it from creating an outlet with the control method is much safer doing it from this hierarchy, from this view hierarchy, okay? So if we create a UI centered button here, when we connect, it's connected. It's already connected for you. So we could verify that by going into the connections inspector, and we see that it's connected. But if we delete it, see, it's now going to be empty. And what we could do is just click and hold, and then we could select the button. All right, now it's connected. We're on and rocking. So what we could do is, it says placeholder, and we want to update that to be like centered button. And this isn't a label, so there isn't a text attribute. Oh, there is. Okay. I'm more used to the method of set title, working with buttons. But let's just see. Maybe they have added it into iOS 10 or 11. I wasn't familiar with it. What'd it do? Let's run it. So it's loading up. All right, see, that doesn't work. We need to set the title. So buttons are a little different. And what we're going to do is set title. And we're going to give it the string of what it do. And the control state. There's different control state. There's like, if we press dot, we'll see all these different control states. What we're dealing with is we just want to control the title when it's normal. And that's when there's no interaction with it. But there could be different interactions when, like, you highlight it, when the button is highlighted, when it's actually selected. Yeah, I don't know what reserve does, but I guess it's only for internal framework use. When a button is disabled, it could say something else. There's different titles that these buttons can have, but let's just worry about what we have on hand right now, and let's just stick with normal. And if we run this, we're going to see that we have created an outlet for this button, and we have updated it to say what it do. Okay? So, control events. What is the control event that we're going to be interested in doing 90% of the time, maybe even more, okay? Because what we want to do is when someone presses this button, we want an alert to pop up, okay? So what we do is you hold control from a button, and then we click and drop. We don't have to click, we just drop. And before on a label, we only had these options of outlet and outlet collection. But when it comes to buttons that have control events that users, when developers and users want to be able to interact with, like a UI button, because when you hit a button, you want something to happen. That's when we would create an action, okay? And then we're going to, at this time, we're not going to be descriptive. We're just going to just keep it moving, and it's going to be like button pressed. Okay, and as you see, this event, that's what we could do. We have all these different type of events. But the event that you and I are most used to when we're using apps is touch up inside. So that's going to be when a user's finger hits a view and releases that button. So they're going to hit the screen and their finger's going to lift up. So that's the UI control event that we're going to want to deal with 90% of the time. So we're just going to stick with the default of touch up inside. Don't need to worry about sender arguments and sender just yet. We're just going to connect. So boom, we now have a function. The function is an IB action function. And when you have a function with the IB action keyword prepending it, that means that this is some kind of function that's tied with something, a UI view. So this function is tied with a view on your storyboard. And we have named this function button pressed. And it's going to be a sender of any. That means it could be a button, it could be a UI switch, it could be anything. But right now we're dealing with the UI button, okay? So you don't need to know exactly how, why or how I'm creating a alert controller, but let me just create one for an example. Let me get out of that, open up a new tab by pressing Command T, and then open up the view controller file, and we have this button pressed action. And I'm gonna type out a UI controller. We're gonna select this initializer, and we're gonna say nothing much. Well, Apple human interface guidelines, it says that all titles should have capitalized words. So it's just say nothing much, no message. And then the alert, the type of preferred style, I just want it to be an alert. You have to create an action, UI alert action, and we're just going to have it the title of OK. That's what's up. Alright. And then this is going to be a default with no nil, with no handler, and we're going to add this action to this alert, and then we're going to present this action or alert. Boom. So now whenever this UI button is interacted with the control event of touch up inside, this function, this block of code is going to be run. All right. So let me change this to follow human interface guidelines by capitalizing all the words, and let's update by running. Okay. So we have the simulator, it's opening, and now it says what it do, and if I press it, it says nothing much. Okay, that's what's up. So that is a control event. And as you see with this one button, there's many control events we could set, but like I said, touch up inside is the one you're going to use 90% of the time. There's going to be some views that you create that you don't want to be buttons, but you want to add the ability to interact with it. And how you do that is you would use gesture recognizers. So to views, to labels, you could add the tap gesture, the pinch gesture, rotation gesture, the swipe, swipe up, swipe left, swipe down, the pan, right? The screen edge, I would say that the screen edge, it's used in Instagram, right? When you're moving to the different type of screens, you can move the camera with the screen edge, pan edge, gesture recognizer. There's a long press. Certain games, they use long press gesture recognizers, like if you're trying to do a super jump and you need to hold down on the screen. And there's a custom gesture recognizer. You figure out that shit yourself, man, because I've never had to use a custom gesture recognizer. But if you're gonna do some crazy shit, that's all you, man. And really, once you learn how to develop on Xcode for iPhone and iPad apps, yo, man, the world is your oyster. So that is control events. Did I highlight it already? All right, we did. We're gonna be moving on. It's your boy Codehova. We're hustling in iOS. We pimping Swift. Man, we doing everything. We're gonna get the whole motherfucking hood in this computer technology shit. You dig? All right. Yo, don't forget, Sundays, 5 p.m. Eastern, live streams. All right? Peace.